Unfortunately, I have not been able to go locals for over a month, but luckily this weekend I was able to make it. So for those of you that have been patiently waiting for a list post-ban list ever since I posted Nick's farewell pure Synchron list that I got first place with, I'm going to give you this one where I came first place again, which is pretty insane. My first locals back after over a month, I ended up winning. It's so cool. It was 500 Swiss and then top 8 cut. It's pretty insane because I wanted to make sure that the theory that I put into the deck functioned quite well before I uploaded the video, because I was eventually going to upload this deck list, but there was no real merit to it. Like, okay, what did you do? Like, it's just theory, you know, which initially it was all theory. I didn't really test it. It was just, okay, adventure does what it does. Like, what about these cards? And then having them have synergy with each other was the chance I got to test this weekend, which ended up working out quite well. Then you have your Synchrons, double Stardust, double Assault, double Jet. The reason for this is because I only wanted to keep what was necessary. Summon, make speeder, summon off speeder. Summon, make speeder, summon off speeder. Summon, make speeder, summon off speeder. That's the whole reason they're there. The third copy only comes up when you need to send off Excel. And there was a few times where I did miss it, but not enough to justify keeping a third copy. You're playing 3 tunings anyways, so that essentially supplements the third copy. But it's a bit more versatile because it can give you any of the Synchrons, and it gives you a mill, which potentially can mill the other one you're missing, right? So let's say you search this for tuning, you can possibly mill this, or mill Enchantress, mill Destrudo. It's RNG based, but it does come up, and it's something to consider, because then you have your adventure stuff, Griffin, and this is the one that's not mainly played, but I personally like it because going second, it's insane. Like, more often than not, you get this going first, but when you go second, you want to be able to remove the potential threats as fast as possible, whereas this can't really do that. You kind of have to wait for them to interact with you, which is something I didn't really like about him. But going second, you have the Draco bounce, you have this bounce, so you right away forced interaction, and then you haven't even invested anything. All you did just write. That's all you did. The main reason it was even considered, it was because I'm playing Double Fateful, and it felt kind of weird playing Double Fateful with just one search target. I mean, you can search this, but like, I wanted to get Fateful utility, and then that's when I saw the value in Illegal Knight. You can even pass with this. Sometimes you draw into this or you draw into this, and you have double interaction, which is pretty cool. And then like, if they can't get rid of this, then you just bounce it with Jericho back to your hand. It's super cool. It's super useful. You can draw into these while keeping and maintaining your token on board, and you keep one in hand, and whether you Synchro during their turn or you Omega Rip during their turn, you free up a slot. So it's an obscure interaction where they don't expect it. They'll see him, but they won't expect him. And then they're like, okay, well, what else do they have? Okay, maybe an Ash, maybe a Hand Trap. They don't expect this guy. Like, it's just insane. It's just so crazy because you can draw into it later with TG draws. And then, of course, you have your Magician Souls. You have Illusion. This is basically to tie these together. This and this is quite nice because it's just draw 2. It prompts a response. Do they let you draw 2, or do they, you know, because you're playing talents. So like if they ask you here, then they get hard punished, because if you already have access to speeder, then you just rip the last hand trap they have and you just pop off and you just win. It's also there to pair with Stardust, because Stardust and Adventure don't really work well. These only function if you're on Shooting Riser, but I'm not, so I wanted to avoid this inconsistency, so that's why this pairs well with this. Whereas these two work well, whereas these don't. And it also puts back your bricks. Being able to put back your Marmor is huge. You don't really want to draw your Marmor. You want to be able to float into it with Yazi. Speaking of Marmor, he's right here. This puts back him, which is insane. Then you have your Destrudo. You have your Stardust Trail. I was considering this guy, but at the very last second, I just didn't want to risk it. I didn't like, oh, it can work. Token of him, special. Token of him, special. Like it, but I didn't have enough theory because I didn't have the card in front of me, so I couldn't really like Solitaire. So I wasn't really familiar with it, so I just ended up not playing it. But this is just an extender. This is a brick, but it helps your deck be resilient. This is for Illumination Search or Dump or Special Summon if you control Stardust Dragon, which is pretty cool. This is where it gets weird, because I'm playing the Walker engine. And the reason you play this is for this guy, because this gives you access to him, and then that reborns this, which is insane, because this, and Adventure, Rights in particular, you can make an immune speeder. You can do it regardless, but you kind of want to preserve your normal summon, because we're playing something else. We're playing Tengu. For those of you that played in Tengu Plant format, this is a bit nostalgic. But the whole reason for this is to do essentially the same thing you would do with Right, except you do it with Tengu. And this is a floating non-tuner level 4. 4 and 1 is something that this like thrives on. Right and Jet, that's 4 and 1. That gives you speeder. So even if you open up this, it's trying to replicate what you would do with Right anyways. This is a bit more resilient, right? Because Right is resilient because you can have the bounce before you initiate anything, right? And it gives you access to Griffin, which forces another interaction. This does something similar in a different way though. So for example, you're contributing 3 cards to this combo, but it's resilient. It's not like you have a 3-card combo and it loses to 1 interaction. Like that's not what it is. And that's what makes it viable. So for example, let me try to depict a scenario. Right here. He has a quick effect synchro. Summon this. You can quick synchro. You can go into Jet first, force an interaction. You can even do this. Make the Jet bounce immune. And then go speeder because this will float and this will be engrave. Or you can leave this on field, summon this, go Yazi. Yazi float. You still have this engrave. You know, it just, the options it gives you is insane. It makes it more resilient. That's what I'm a big fan of. Being able to out-clever your opponent, make it as difficult for them to anticipate your next move as possible. And that's what this does. Because like, what do you do? Like, how do you interact with this? Like, it's just insane. You know, like, it's just crazy. If it gets banished, it floats. The only way it won't trigger is if it goes to the deck. Even if it does, you still have adventure access. Potential adventure access. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do with the deck. I didn't want to be like, oh, fearful of losing the dice roll. And be like, oh, damn. Which is why this guy is so good as well. Sometimes you do draw multiple Tengus, and he puts them back, which is pretty cool. Then, of course, you have your triple tuning. The 3rd copy of each Synchron, just a bit more versatile. You have your triple overtake. This only summons Jet. You only want Jet. Jet and this is insane. You can go bounce first, float, you know what I mean? Or you can go Excel send, special, float into the other one, go into Excel Stardust, float into the 3rd one, revive the Jet, go immune speeder. Like, it's just insane. And then, of course, you have your adventure stuff. You have a triple right, double faithful, Draco back. And this is quite needed because of this situation. You don't want to draw this. This helps this go to the graveyard, so then you can pitch for it later. It's the same reason for this. The 1-for-1. Get to Jet to the graveyard, summon Jet to the field, get access to souls, foolish, and then of course illumination for your Stardust search. And then you have your non-engine. Like that is 40 flat, but I felt like these were quite crucial to me doing as good as I did because this was insane. Being able to look at your opponent's hand, get rid of the last hand drop to let your speeder resolve is huge. Going second, cracking boards is just amazing, and being able to draw 2 is just so versatile of a card. These were initially small worlds, but I felt like the deck was consistent enough. And I know people have been implementing it in a TCG, but I'm not sure it's for the same reasons as they do in the OCG. Because OCG has Max C, and Max C means you have to play Ash, and Ash is an automatic bridge for Enchantress. Whereas we don't really have that. Like, it does translate well, but like not for the same reasons, I think. So I felt like you can go without it. Then you have Triple Book of Moon. These are droplets. Ensure that your nukes resolve. For example, let's say you climb into a Satellite Warrior, and they don't expect you to resolve it, and they go, okay, it's fine. Then okay, chain 1, chain 2, book your Satellite, and it'll resolve. It just nukes everything, which is huge. Same thing with Jet Warrior. Just drawing it off of TG was always nice, because being able to book things is quite nice, because most of the times things want to be in the graveyard, things want to be banished, so like you just book things. Like, it's insane. And yeah, it was quite useful. Preventing Zeus's as well was against Purely. They chain their trap, you chain this, they can't go Noir, which is quite nice. And then of course I was main decking Storm for Lab and Rika. I just did not want to lose those decks. Same thing for Duster. Rika just won Euros. This just solves that. Like, and of course you have Call By for Ash or Droll. Yeah, I really like this one. This is pretty good. Everything functioned as expected. And then of course you have your side deck. You have your Bestials. Yeah, Ash. Your Droll. Dark Wheelers. Gravity Collapse. You just want to just straight up, it's a win button basically. Against Cash, against Purely. against Rika, and it doesn't matter. Any deck that can special summon more than once, you just put this against, and you just outright win because you have game on board. You have a Mega coming back, and it's just a win button. It's just insane. And then of course you have your evenly matched and a token for sure. This breaks almost any board. These two together are insane. I'm not sure what else I would put in, like, because I haven't really been testing TCG, but it just seemed, just based off general perspective, like, okay, this seems okay. And then you have your extra deck. You have Dispatter, Baron, Satellite Warrior. This card's insane. Crystal Wing. I wasn't playing this before, but you play it now because of Assault. It's just so good to play. It's just so nice. Omega. This is like your standard board. You typically you make this, and rip 2 with a bunch of draws. It's insane. Excel. This card's MVP of the deck for sure. You need to play this to do the effects. It's insane. Yazi. Yazi is an integral part to the deck to help you push past interaction, go in second, which is nice. Charge Warrior, and of course, Antinemy, a TG Hyper Librarian. This is the whole reason why this deck's insane. It's just draw an abundance amount of cards, which is insane. Something I noticed is that I wasn't really making an impressive board. Like, I wasn't really doing the entirety of the board. It was mainly like Baron, Dispatter, Rip 2, and maybe like a Griffin setup, and like draw like Double Book and like Ash and stuff like that. Jet Warrior for Overtake to summon Jet, Speeder, Excel, Herald, and Formless Synchron. This is not really played, but it just comes up so much. Like, I was not playing this. This was another boss monster, and I think it was Changing at one point, or it was Chaos Angel. But this kept coming up so often that I was like, what the... Because sometimes you have to synchro away your Stardust to make your Baron. So then you have to find a way to then later make your Crystal Wing, and then you make this and this. Because you want to be able to rip more than you want to negate. Because this is rip 2 compared to a negate. And sometimes you make him and keep your Crystal Wing on the field, and you have access to a Satellite War, which is insane. Like, being able to have double quick synchros on your opponent's turn is brutal, because it's hard to play around it. Like, it's really hard, really difficult. And I'm so glad I kept it in. It's just insane. It just helps you climb to this. Like, like being able to go draw 2, just draw 4 already, and then synchro. Amazing, bro. But yeah, that's the list. It worked quite well. Go ahead and try it out. Let me know how you go. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to get this out before the NA Nationals, but yeah, dude, it's really crazy. Anyways, that's gonna be it. Like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.